want to go over some of the stuff that I think you might want to know if it happens to you, because when I first got my Predator 360, I noticed a couple things and I wasn't really sure how to address them, and I actually contacted Hobie, and that actually went really well. I'd never had to really deal with Hobie customer service before, but it was very quick, and I even got a call from the engineer of the drive. Yeah, so I actually got to talk directly to him, and he kind of walked me through some stuff, which I thought was very nice. But anyway, we can get on to it. So when I first got my drive, when I first got my kayak, I was kind of just pedaling along, and there was some other like shallower areas that I would hit, and then I'd pedal back into the deeper stuff, and just testing it out basically when I first got it. And I noticed a little, after pedaling for a little bit, that I felt like a rubbing and kind of a I guess like a, I wouldn't necessarily call it a click, but kind of like a rub slash knock, and I couldn't figure it out. And so I would get in the deeper area after I left the shallow area and just pedal real hard. And what I actually figured out was that when you knock them down like that, when you go over something shallow, they're initially supposed to come right back to normal when you start pedaling again. Now I'm sure if you're just barely pedaling, they're not going to click back up. But what I did realize is that mine, when they came, were very hard to click back into place. I mean, like, I had to use a lot of force to get it to do it. And like, see, this front one's relatively easy. So what was happening was, I'm not sure how well you can see it, the front fin was resting like this and hitting this fin right here. So for the first day, I actually had to, every time I went shallow and I actually engaged the kick up on the fins, I would have to go back and manually push it back in as hard as I could. Now this is not supposed to happen, because they actually do a some kind of like process before they ship them out, where they see, this back one I haven't really messed with, and it never got kicked up. But anyway, they'll do what I just did, back and forth a lot. Ugh, I can't get it back in. So anyway, what I'm trying to say is, they'll do what I just did several times, just kind of to wear it, because apparently mine was a really tight fit when I got it. And I noticed that on other kick-up fins that it was pretty easy to put back into place. So if you feel that rubbing when your fins come together, it's more than likely that. So when you get time, just kick them up and put them back, kick them up, put them back, until it starts to get easier. But so far with that front one, when I actually hit something shallow, it does kick up by itself. And then another thing that I had was clicking. I had clicking when I was when I would pedal hard. It'd be the right pedal, and it'd kind of click at the first 25% of pushing it forward. And you'll want to do this global adjustment on the bottom here, right there. And you'll want to just like tighten that a quarter turn at a time until it stops, because that'll tighten the cables. My cables are still a little bit loose, and he did say that if it happens again, because I have mine all the way, pretty much, I think almost all the way tightened, the adjustment. If it happens again, to let him know, and he'll walk me through doing the manual tightening of the cable if it does happen. But so far so good. And then another thing, I may have to do this off the kayak, but maybe not. All right, another thing, I'll show you when I get the thing back on. You have two screws. one right here and one right here. So the front screw, which the bow screw, is for it's a clutch slip bolt. So what that'll do is, if you notice that your drive is turning by itself, the 360 drive is actually spinning when you're pedaling, you'll want to turn that a quarter turn at a time until it stops. Mine didn't do this, but I was looking at adjustments trying to figure out what was going on with mine. And so he told me go ahead and just, I tightened it all the way up with the Allen key that they give you, and I just did it snug. You don't want to over tighten it, so you use the actual, the short end of the Allen key to tighten it, and then you'll be able to just get it snug. And he told me to come out a half a turn. Like I said, I didn't have any issues with my thing going back and forth like that though. But if you do find that your drive is spinning, like this is, you know, spinning like this when you're pedaling, mine barely wiggles like back and forth like this, but that's just because of when you give it the torque or whatever, it's going to slightly move. And then the rear, which is this stern facing bolt, is another clutch, and I thought that was what, because I looked at another video and I thought that was what would fix my clicking issue, but that turned out not to be true. So he recommended that I turn it, tighten to snug, then come out 3 full turns. And ever since he told me to do that, I haven't had any noises or any issues with the fins. I still need to pop this fin in and out just to get it worn in, because this one typically doesn't get kicked up when I go shallow. It's always the front one. So that one is still a little stiff, but if you just pop them in and out, you know, just like you're kind of simulating hitting bottom, they'll kind of wear into where they need to be and get easier. All right, another thing I noticed, and it kind of had me worried. Let me get going here. I was worried about how much play that the handle for the 360 drive has, because say that you have it at 12 o'clock, you can probably move, at least with mine, I can move the handle probably to 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock with no resistance. So that kind of had me worried, because that seemed like a pretty big range of motion. But they assured me that that wasn't, if I was running into that was normal. And the place I got it from actually sent me a video of their brand new ones, and they were also had that kind of like that slack in it. But yeah, I just wanted to do a quick little rundown of what was happening with me, because I actually ended up calling Hobie when I was out on the water, because when all this stuff happened, because I really couldn't figure it out and it was irritating me. Like the whole clicking thing, and then the fins thing was kind of easy to figure out, because once I knew what was kind of happening, like I felt that rubbing and that slight knock, and I could kind of tell that the fins were making contact with each other, but I couldn't figure out why until I looked at how both of them were seated after they kicked out. Because typically when you run shallow, you should be able to start pedaling. I mean, I'm sure you got to pedal like with a little bit of force to get it to pop back into place. I'm not sure if I haven't tried it, but I'm not sure that pedaling and then barely giving any kind of force is going to make them pop back into place all the way. So, but yeah, see, I have quite a bit of movement there, and nothing happens up front if you look at my little arrow right here. And then, so yeah, if you have that issue, don't worry about it. They said it's normal to have that slack. So all right, that's just a quick little, a couple hiccups I had with mine. You may or may not have any when you get yours. It's not a big deal or anything like I thought it was at first. I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna have to get a new drive and all this crap, but it turned out to be just some minor adjustments and a little bit of gained knowledge from the actual engineer to kind of explain to me how that stuff's working inside. But anyways, I'm gonna head back. This wind is, it's not so much the wind. I kind of didn't dress appropriately for the wind that we do have right now, so I'm gonna head back. Appreciate you guys watching. I'll see you next time.